Hey, how's it going? Hi, so I haven't been on for a while because, well, I don't know about you, but I've just been super duper sensitive lately. I mean, I got triggered by some triggers. I had to go through dealing with that, and it's just the news has just been not great with the extra legal, executions happening. It's just tough to look at, and everything's on fire. Not everything is on fire, but it's a lot. There's a lot of like unsettled energy out there, and I guess I was just really getting hit by it or something. But you know, I just, as usual, am watching what's going on, and I don't know. I just kind of wanted to talk about how I felt about a few things, and I haven't titled this yet, but it'll be something about Batman and vigilantes and something. But so yeah, I mean, I got so like over stimulated that I just could only like watch TV and read or whatever, and I like cartoons, so I was looking at a lot of Batman. But I kind of had a few revelations while I was watching it. Well, they didn't all come at the same point. They just kind of all converged into a point, the other day. So, Batman is kind of crazy. you know, he's this super wealthy guy, and yes, he had this life changing event when he was very young, but I mean, I understand it's not real. I do understand it's not a real thing. But it's so popular among us, like all of us. If you knew about it from the comic books or the cartoons, if you got it when you were young, when you were older, it just has a wide appeal, the Batman. And it's obviously it's going to be about what he's about, like what the main character does. And he's a crime fighter, which is also weird. He doesn't believe in guns, and he has like a full on weapons division. And he actually, you know, he's not as bad as a superhero. He's not powered, so he's not taking buildings down, but he does some damage. And I mean, I guess like even now I feel like in that context it's okay, and he kind of is in alignment with the police. And but sometimes he's not, and he's not with the public, and they go crazy about he's a vigilante and he's crazy. And again, I think he really is nuts. Bruce Wayne or the Batman are crazy. uh but he has this deep deep anger, and it hasn't been dealt with. Like there's versions of it where he's a white haired older man, like an elderly guy, and he's still like just can barely communicate through the gritted teeth. Yeah, is why is that appealing to us? Hmm. So yeah, wide appeal, right? And then I thought, okay, well, it just kind of moved into superheroes, which is another thing that I like to watch, because I think I can just be taken completely out of you know that sort of energy irritant thing, and just I'm looking at all this stuff that is barely based in reality, and I can like leave. I can suspend actual reality. It's a relaxing thing, and I don't know. Like, I also realized, and this comes with the property damage that I mentioned earlier, that Batman doesn't himself do. Sometimes, I mean, he crashes his vehicles, and yeah, I guess he does do like some damage like that, but not as bad as a superhero, or a superhero fight, or a superhero super villain. super creature fight. You know, it's just like it's out of control. I mean, what didn't they take out like the Avengers Tower in one of those movies in a fight with some? I can't even remember. There's so many things there at any given time at war with, but yeah, super destructive. And I was thinking about how they get the vigilante hate often too, but you know, other times when there's like a threat and they're, or you know, the humans are saved, it's the other way around. But being humans, sometimes they will be like grateful and like, who the fuck is gonna, oh sorry, who is gonna pay for this? Um, it's, I guess it's a love-hate relationship or something, because they also in some, you know, other comics, you know, other genres of comic superhero, whatever you want to call it, other ones, they're also worshipped as well as like they're suspicious. Like Batman is totally suspicious of Superman because he's an ET and he doesn't know when suddenly he's gonna do something that Batman's not ready for, and he's not gonna have. Well, if you've seen the last Justice League, the way that he built that armor and was all like, hello. You can only like sort of hurt the Man of Steel. I don't think you can kill him. Well, especially in a comic book. He's already been dead a couple of times, Superman has. But anyway, the powered guy versus the guy with the tech, both destructive. The fantastical one, way destructive. And so that's not good. And the other thing, like I mentioned, there was a couple of converging points that came together. There was three things that sort of made a point. The other was the story. This is not a digression. This actually applies. Is the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, which when I was a little kid, I looked at it completely differently. The same with Batman and superheroes. There are like these finer points that as a child I didn't appreciate, I didn't think about. You know, Jack climbs up the beanstalk with the beans he got for the cow, which he should have sold like his mother told him. But he decided that he knew better, so he got beans for it, and then he planted them and got the beanstalk and went up to basically broke into the giant's house to rob him of his goose. And when I was a kid, it was like, just because the giant said, I smell someone in my home, you know, like, oh, I smell the blood of an Englishman and I want to make bread of his bones, I believe was the thing that, well, obviously that stuck with me. But at the time, it was just like Jack was like the hero. Like, he did better than the beans. He got the gold, but somehow I glossed over the fact that he was like a break and enter situation. So, yeah, it's like your perceptions are very different when you're a child. But here's something I remember from when I was a child watching, you know, Batman, Superman cartoons. There used to be like public that you can see. Like in a movie, there's people around and stuff. But in the cartoons, I noticed that like over the years, it went from being like men in full-on suits with fedoras and women out with like babies and strollers and children, and you know, like it would be populated like for real. And I started noticing, I don't know, like 5-6 years ago, that there'd be people on the street, like, but very, like, they did the least amount of work on having, like, atmosphere, as they call it in the movies, extra people, like extras, in the background, doing things. And I guess it has to do with the destruction that I was talking about, because obviously if there's cars and buildings flying around and big, like, alien lasers flaring into the ground or into a building, you know, presumably there's people there and there's, like, infrastructure that's just getting screwed up. I mean, that's only gonna be like so good for people for so long, you know. Like we get exhausted easily, and they're experiencing like a hurricane on every Tuesday, you know, or the effects of a hurricane. And so the people I noticed are really like they'll be there a little bit, like sparsely, just like the least possible effort they could put into having it there. And then as soon as the fight breaks out, people are gone. The signs for the places are like they're there, but they're muted or they're just. I mean, that might be my own perception, but it seems like they didn't put as much work into it as they would, where there was like people in them and around them. And in the older ones, you would see something like a potted plant on a windowsill. And I just noticed, like, the other day, like I said, I was watching Batman cartoons, more recent ones, and the windows were just whited out. There was, like, no... there was, like, window, you know, generic, very generic. And, like, all the people magically cleared out, I think is what... I guess is what you're supposed to think, because that's what I got, but I don't know, like, whatever, boomer moment. But, so back to the vigilante thing, and so of course, while I'm sort of escaping, you know, media, or, you know, news type media, info media, and like non-fiction, basically, I still know about what happened in Kenosha, where Jacob Blake got shot in the back in front of his kids. Like, kind of preemptively, like, he might have had a knife. Oh my god, he might also take a next breath. You gonna kill him for that? That's crazy. What are you, the Minority Report squad? Like, can the crime get committed? Can you, like, not act out on your... Like, what is it with the impulses? Like, everybody just gone nuts. Unless it's come down from above, it's okay to just shoot up people, because I know that's what that kid thinks, and I'm surprised it hasn't happened sooner like this, that someone out there with a gun that don't like black people and just, you know, has poor impulse control. That is my main fear about people with the vigilante attitude and the having the guns, because I think it's those two things. Like, they feel like they're strong and powerful, and it's kind of like a next... It's the gateway to vigilantism, hence the militias. And really, like... How many dumb sword movies have you seen, or like even gun movies where they're like, don't unholster it, don't unsheath it unless you're gonna put blood on it. It is a serious thing. Like, you're out there with loaded weapons, and here's this kid. I mean, I'm mainly talking about adults and with the poor impulse control, but here comes someone who was very likely to have poor impulse control and did the worst possible, you know, scenario. It was kind of unescapable. And even while I was trying to escape, what did I find? Things that made me think of it more. I don't know. I don't know, like, if I even have a point with this. I guess I'm just venting. But I feel like I don't think I am that much more important than anyone, that I need to go beyond conventional means to address any sort of ill that I have or ill will. And I don't think, like, I kind of have a temper at times, and if I get pushed to that point, and I don't have one, not for this reason, but yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, I could get really mad and temporarily have really bad impulse control. You know, I don't think it's a good idea for myself, and it makes me uncomfortable that if I feel that way about myself, I don't care the training, because look at, like, what I was saying with the police, you know, just summarily deciding to execute and skip the legal process, you know, skip the apprehend and detain, and go straight to skip the judgment into, well, skip the trial and straight to judgment, and then, you know, mete out that judgment. It's like, oh my god, it's it's like you're living in a fictional world, and it's not. I mean, you know, it's, in certain schools of thought, it is fictional. It's like a Matrix situation, but that's not what I'm talking about. I mean, it's not like knowing that you are not gonna feel what you're gonna feel about it. I probably have too much time on my own. Okay, that's all I want to say. Oh, well, let me make sure. Let me make sure that's all I want to say. Superheroes, still like them. Batman, still like them. But, I understand that that's something over here that's basically in here. It's not a go out and do thing. It's not a, wow, that looks cool to blow up something. I want to go try it. It's not like that. It's just like I said, take my mind off of actual reality and pay attention to something else. And vigilantes, I don't know. I mean, I'm uncomfortable with the militias. I'm uncomfortable with their motivations. The ones at the border, maybe I can give a little bit, teeny sliver more credibility, or a sliver, not more, just that much credibility to the feeling, threatened, because they have reason with cartel crap south of the border or coming above the border and actually having their agents here. So, I mean, I can understand that level of heightened anxiety and wanting to arm yourself, because it is like the Wild West out there again still, or something. Or, I mean, I don't know if that's even still true, because what I'm thinking of is from years ago. But anyway, I don't know. I'm not comfortable with that. So I'm actually not comfortable with a bunch of people having concealed carry permits, because if you're not law enforcement, all I can think of is like an artillery circle jerk, and just finding myself in the middle of it because I don't have a gun. Oh, and a black too. So, yes, that seems to be quite the lead magnet these days. Okay, that's it. That's all I want to say. Thank you and good night.